I didn't want to quit my job. I wanted to quit the way I was doing it. Hey friend, welcome back to the show. Today I want to talk about something that might feel a little close to home. This is for the version of you who is safety net for everything and everyone in your business. The one who knows how to fix it, how to do it, how to carry it, and you usually do. On paper, it looks like you are killing it. Behind the scenes, your nervous system is like, ma'am, we need to talk. And if that's you, I get it in a very personal way. Because that used to be me, completely. And the way I lead today, the reason I talk so much about freedom first leadership, about delegation, about not being the walking emergency plan in your own company, that came from living the exact opposite. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through a few big shifts that I had to make in myself and how I see my clients repeating the same patterns when they come into my world. Think of this as your little shortcut. You do not need your own full-blown burnout to learn these lessons. All right, let's jump in. There was a season in my business where I honestly believed that the most responsible thing I could do was to do everything, to carry everything. Every client, every decision, every fire, every feeling. If a ball dropped, it felt like proof that I had dropped it. My schedule was packed, my inbox was overflowing, revenue looked good. People from the outside would say, "Whoa, you're doing so much. That's amazing. I don't know how you can do it all." And they were not wrong. But also, I was exhausted and constantly on edge and quietly resentful of the thing I had built. Back then, if you have asked me how I was doing, I probably would have said something like, "Oh, just a busy season. It will calm down eventually. Everything's fine." Except it didn't calm down because it wasn't a season. It was a pattern. And the pattern was this. I was the hero, the backup plan, and the entire safety net of my business. If a client needed something, it came to me. If a team member had a question, it came to me. If something broke, I jumped in. There was no real system to fall back on. It was just me. I don't lead like that anymore. And thank goodness, these days when I talked about freedom first leadership with my clients, it's not from a pedestal. It's not theory. It's because I know what happens when you don't build that freedom in. So I want to share 5 big shifts that I had to make, and I want you to notice where you hear yourself in these. You might not relate to all of them, but even if one of these feel like, "Oh, that's me," then this episode is for you. All right, let's start with the first big one. Old me lived by an unwritten rule. If I can physically do it, I probably should. Another client? Sure. An extra project squeezed into an already full week? I will make it work. Can you just hop on a quick call? Of course I can. Every time something new came up, I would check my capacity in this super basic way. Do I technically have a block on my calendar where this could go? If the answer is yes, I said yes. On the outside, it might look like ambition. It looked like hustle, but on the inside, it was over-functioning with a good branding. There's a very specific day I remember. I had calls stacked back to back, plus an activity for one of my kids, plus some client deadlines, plus a random tech fire in the middle of the day. And I think I ate lunch standing up in the kitchen maybe in like 45 seconds. And at that night, I sat on my couch, too tired to even enjoy my own life. And my brain went straight to, maybe I'm not cut up for this. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I should just burn this all down and start over. And here's what I eventually realized. I didn't want to quit my job. I wanted to quit the way I was doing it. My capacity wasn't the problem. The problem was the assumption that if I can carry it, I should do it. And I see this in my clients all the time now. They're not lazy. They're not disorganized. They're just completely maxed out and still making decisions like their time, their energy, and their emotional bandwidth are unlimited. They come to me and they say things like, it's just a busy season. And I'm like, okay, but you've been in this quote unquote busy season for 3 years? Right? So this is why I teach freedom first leadership, because growth that really requires you to abandon yourself is not growth. It's slow self-destruction with nice photos and good testimonials. So if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, I keep saying yes to things I can do, even though I'm already full, I want you to try a different question. Not, can I technically squeeze it in, but is this truly the highest and best use of me? That one question alone can really start to change everything. All right, shift number 2. It was a phase where delegation for me meant that I had to explain a task once, get frustrated when it wasn't done exactly like I imagined, and then I'll take the task back and decide that I just bad at delegating and it's faster if I just do it myself. And if you're smiling right now, it's probably because you've been there too, or maybe you're still there. I had all the classic lines. I've said it out loud to my coach. They don't understand my voice. My clients expect me. By the time I explain it, I could have done it myself. And the story I told myself was, I am protecting my standards. I just don't want the ball to be dropped. What I realized was that refusing to properly delegate wasn't protecting my standards. It was protecting my need to control. Ouch. Meanwhile, I was the bottleneck for everything. The content, the client delivery, the decisions, every team question. Nothing moved without me. If I got sick, things just slowed to a crawl or basically stopped. I wanted to take time off. I had to do some pre-work on my vacation and then get exhausted just because I was trying to catch up before I could even enjoy the time off. Now, when my clients come in, they say the same thing, maybe in different words. They'll say things like, I want to hire support, but they secretly want mind-reading clones of themselves who can guess what they want, never make a mistake, and magically know the standards without ever needing to actually lead. Hey, look, that magical unicorn does not exist. So instead, we work on deeper things, getting painfully honest about what only they can do, what is the zone of genius, letting go of tasks that their ego really wants to keep. For me, it was a content building, and your girl loves a Canva, so get me out of there. Building simple, repeatable systems so delegation isn't a one-time Hail Mary. And I tell them this all the time. Delegation done well, it is an integrity move. And if you're saying, I care about this work so much that I'm not going to let it live and die in my exhausted brain anymore, I'm going to make sure it's documented, supported, and sustainable, that's not you checking out. That's you being an amazing leader. So if you're still in that cycle of, I tried to delegate once, it didn't work, I guess I'm just bad at it, I'm not doing it again, I want you to ask this question. Have I actually built something that can be delegated? Or did I just toss a half-formed task at someone and expect magic? That's the shift. Now let's talk about being available 24/7. There was a time when I thought being a really good leader and service provider meant being reachable at all times. Client texts at 9:30 p.m.? Of course I'll answer. It only takes a second. Team Boxer on a Saturday? Let me just pop it in real quick. A collaborator asking for a quote-unquote small favor during my supposed day off? I can squeeze it in. I felt generous. I felt helpful. It also slowly trained everyone around me to believe that it is not really handled until Nata responds. If you're someone who prides yourself in being reliable, This one can be tricky because it looks like you're just being awesome. But here's the cost. My calendar was full of check-ins and quick questions and emergencies that weren't actually emergencies. And I have very little bandwidth left in that deep, quiet work that actually moves my business forward. The turning point for me was realizing that being constantly reachable doesn't build trust. It builds dependency, and that's very different. My clients didn't actually feel safer. They just felt like they couldn't move without my feedback. Now, when I'm coaching women and men on freedom first leadership, we don't just talk about boundaries in a vague way like, oh, you should say no more often. We get very practical with things. When do client hear from you and through what channels? What truly counts as urgent? Where are you accidentally training people that your time is the most flexible thing in their business? Because here's the truth. You don't owe everyone access to you. You owe them clarity. Clear expectations beat constant availability any day of the week. And these days, I don't live with my phone surgically attached to my hand anymore. My availability is predictable, not constant. And the funny thing is, my clients actually get a better version of me. And when I'm with them, I am with them. Not resentful, not half there, not thinking about 24/7 other things. So if you recognize yourself in this, if you sleep with your phone on loud, quote unquote, just in case, and if you feel a little jolt of anxiety when you see a notification, I want you to ask yourself this question. What am I afraid will happen if I am not instantly available? And is that actually true? Or is it just a habit? Is that a story that I'm telling myself? We are really good at telling ourselves stories that are not necessarily based on facts. This episode is brought to you by my one-on-one Freedom First Leadership Coaching. This is for founders who are still the glue in their company and want to become the calm, precise CEO. Together, we will redesign your role, install clean decision rights, and delegate outcomes with a clear definition of done. You'll leave with a weekly operating cadence, a 90-day plan, and the confidence to scale without being on call to everything. If you want high standards at a human pace, apply now at accidentalceo.co/coaching. That's accidentalceo.co/coaching. The next one is a big one, especially for those of us who care about relationships in team and community. And for a long time, I was very focused on being nice. I delayed hard conversations with team members and other colleagues. I soft feedback so much that I became basically useless. I kept people in roles that weren't right for them anymore because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. And it felt kind of in the moment. But slowly, I started to see the ripple effects. Things would drag on for months. Other people on the team would feel the tension, but nobody was really naming it. I would carry this quiet resentment thinking, why don't they just see this? Are they not able to see what I see? While also not actually saying the thing out loud. What I eventually had to admit was that niceness avoids discomfort. Kindness tells the truth with respect. When I started being more direct, and I don't mean harsh, I mean clear, I saw how much cleaner everything can get. I would say something like, hey, this wasn't working the way it needed to, and here's why. Or this role has outgrown what you want, and we need to make a change. And those conversations are not fun, let's be honest. But they are clear and kind. Now when clients come to me, I see the same dance. They will say things like, well, I don't want to be mean, or I don't want to be that boss. So they avoid the hard conversation, and the situation quietly drains them for another 6 months. They think they're protecting their relationship, and in reality, they're just avoiding the truth. Freedom first leadership doesn't mean that you suddenly love conflict. It means you care enough about the long-term health of your business in your relationships to say the real thing sooner. Clarity is kindness, and dragging it out, it is not. So if you've been holding back on a conversation you know need to happen with a teammate, a contractor, or maybe even a client, I want you to ask this question. Am I actually protecting them, or am I just protecting myself from feeling uncomfortable? Big difference there. All right, last big shift. There was a long stretch where my main strategy in business was, I will outwork this. Something's not converting, work harder. Plateaued month, launch another thing. You're feeling insecure, pile one more project. And it kind of worked for a while, right? You can get pretty far just by being the hardest worker in the room. But there's a ceiling you will hit where the next level of growth is not about how much you can do. It's about how well you decide. And I remember looking back at some of the most expensive mistakes I've made in business and realizing they weren't lazy days. They were tired decisions. Saying yes to the wrong client because I didn't want to sit with the discomfort of saying no. Launching an offer from a place of panic because I was scared about the cash flow. Ignoring what the numbers were clearly telling me because I just didn't want to slow down and think. Those were judgment issues, not effort issues. So now when I look at my clients and I see them in that I'll hustle this problem mode, I recognize it instantly. They don't need more discipline. They need cleaner thinking and more margin to access it. Freedom first leadership treats your judgment as an asset, not your ability to grind, not your ability to power through, but your ability to see clearly, make decisions from a grounded place, and not let that fear and exhaustion drive the bus. That means protecting your brain, not just your calendar. So if you're here listening and you've been thinking, I just need to push harder, maybe the real question is, what decisions am I avoiding because I don't want to slow down and feel what it brings up? And that's usually where the real leverage is. I offer a 2-day one-on-one retreat where I actually take you out of your environment for 2 days. I call it a very productive hostage situation. I kidnap you, we go to an Airbnb, and I basically remove you from all the distractions of the day-to-day so we can really work on strategies and, that leadership shift that needs to happen and all the transformations for that next level of your business. And a lot of times when I'm talking about this offer to people, I hear things like, oh my gosh, I couldn't afford to step away from my business for 2 days. Let me tell you this. If you are a person who cannot see the opportunity to step away from your business for 2 days to work on the business, you are exactly the kind of person who needs this. You need to create this space to be able to build all that structure that's going to support you without actually having to be in it all the time. So to pull this together, I don't lead the way I used to. I no longer say yes to everything I can technically do or hold on to every task like only I can be trusted, or keep my phone glued to my hand to prove I care, or choose niceness over clarity, or try work problems out that actually need to be better decisions. And I don't want that for you either. The way I run my business now and the way I coach my clients is built around a different core question. What would this look like if my freedom mattered as much as my revenue? That doesn't mean money doesn't matter. We are absolutely here to build profitable, powerful businesses. I love money. I have no problem making it. It just means that your freedom and your energy, your health, your time, your actual life are non-negotiable side notes. They're part of the strategy. So if you were listening to this and feeling that mix of, that hurts, and oh my gosh, that's me, I want you to know you are not broken. You're just leaning on an old template. A template that says that if you can carry it, you should. If you care, you'll be available 24/7. If you're a good leader, you will avoid hurting anyone's feelings. and that if you want to grow, you would outwork everyone. You are allowed to update that. So here's a few questions to take with you. Before we wrap, I want you to leave you with a few simple questions you can journal on or just to think about on your next walk. Number one, where am I saying it's just a busy season when it's actually a pattern? Number two, what am I still doing myself that someone else could own if I built the support for it? Number three, how have I trained people to expect instant access to me? And what would it look like to replace that with clarity instead? Number four, is there a conversation I've been avoiding in the name of being quote unquote nice that would actually be kinder if I had it? And number five, where am I trying to outwork a problem that really needs a better decision? Pick one of those, just one. You don't have to fix everything this week. Freedom First Leadership is built choice by choice, boundary by boundary, delegation by delegation. All right, friend, that's what I have for you today. If this episode stirred something up in you and you felt called out in a good way, I would love for you to share with another founder who is maybe quietly carrying too much as well. And if you're ready to start shifting out of this over-responsibility pattern into a real structured way, that is the work I do every day with my clients, I would love to help you out. You can find my resources, stories, and the next steps from me on my website at accidentalceo.co. You're going to have things here on the show notes for you, so make sure you check that. And thanks for being here. Thanks for the work you do, and thank you for being willing to build a business that doesn't require you to break yourself in the process. I'll talk to you in the next episode. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us in the world where creativity and business strategy collide. I am Nata Salvatore, thrilled to have shared this time with you. Remember, every episode is a step closer to mastering the art of being an accidental CEO. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe, drop us a sweet review, and spread the word to your creative tribe. Your next big breakthrough could be just one episode away. Join us next time for more insights, laughs, and actionable tips. Keep pushing boundaries, dreaming big, and embracing the beautiful chaos of entrepreneurship. Here's to make magic happen in your business and beyond.